Hello, my spooky crew, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. My name is Alex, and thanks for coming to my spooky corner of the internet. I'm sure we all know by now the slap that was heard around the world. Actually, it was Lynn Nottage that pointed this out. So when Chris Rock was going up there and doing like his speech that ultimately led to the joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, he congratulated Denzel Washington on his portrayal of the Scottish Lord. Again, I'm not saying the word, I'm not going to say it. Denzel Washington starred in the movie The Tragedy of Scottish Lord. And about 53 seconds after Chris Rock said the name of the Scottish play, Will Smith got up on stage and slapped Chris Rock. I have a lot of strong opinions about the slap, but I'm not going to portray them here because, there's been a lot of intense discussion about it, and I just don't want to give room for that kind of discussion on this platform. If you followed me on Twitter and Facebook, you know where I stand on that. Here's the other thing too. I don't want to diminish the severity and the seriousness that is surrounding the slap. This was something that was brought up by Lynn Nottage, and I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. Let's talk about this. So please don't interpret this video as a way for me of excusing behavior on either side. Like I said, this is a much bigger conversation than this video is going to entail. It's not about who's right or who's wrong. It's just talking about the curse of the Scottish play. So a little disclaimer there. But before we dive in, be sure to click on that subscribe button, give this video a like, and click on that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. And if you want to hear more spooky stories, ghost hunting tips, and other paranormal goodies, then head on over to my website at thespookystuff.com. All right, let's get started. I'm not sure if you can tell, but the Scottish play curse is one of the few theater superstitions that I am very passionate and adamant about. That one and break a leg. In terms of whistling in a theater, I will whistle in a theater sometimes. I've done it by accident. And I'll be honest, nothing bad has really happened when I've whistled in a theater. If you don't know what the Scottish play curse is, I'm going to tell you right now. It is a theater superstition, and it's believed that if you say the name of the Scottish play by William Shakespeare, it will bring about bad luck and or disaster. Before I was a paranormal person, I was a theater person. Well, I am a theater person, just not acting on the stage. I have my master's degree in theater. I've studied theater for a good majority of my life. And believe it or not, theater was my segue into paranormal research. When I was in graduate school, I covered a lot of topics regarding like Shakespeare and witches and spooky things in theater. And believe it or not, I've learned that there is a very fine line between like the bridge of the supernatural and theater. In fact, the roots of theater come from, oral tradition and ritual and performance, meaning people were trying to make connections with the spirit world, with the gods, through performance. And with theater being such a huge part of my life as I was growing up, superstition was also a big part of my life. There's a lot of superstitions in theater, including, no whistling in a theater, and, you don't say good luck, you say break a leg. And the origins of these superstitions are kind of all over the place. And one of the most prominent theater superstitions out there is the Scottish play curse. Now, considering that I'm on YouTube and I could consider this a digital stage, I'm not even going to take a risk in saying the name out loud. And if you say the name of the Scottish play, then you have to go outside, spin around 3 times, spit, curse, and then knock on the door and wait for your fellow theater people to let you back into the theater. There's also another variation of this where if you say like a cleansing Shakespeare line, then you can be let back in. And some may say lines like, "If we shadows have offended, think of this and all is mended," which is from Midsummer Night's Dream. And from Hamlet, there's also "Angels and ministers of grace defend us," asking angels to come and protect you. And then from The Merchant of Venice, there's also "Fair thoughts and happy hours attend on you." So there are other cleansing rituals involved. I'm just noting some of the most popular ones. I think there's another one where one spins around 3 times, brushing oneself. There's another one where someone spins around 3 times, brushing oneself off, and then saying the Scottish play name 3 times before they go back into the theater, which would be interesting. It's like double cursing or canceling out the curse. Now, there have been some really interesting things that have happened when people have done the Scottish play. I know for me personally, I've been in the Scottish play twice. And some weird thing has always happened, like some fantastical mishap. Props going missing, props breaking, people getting hurt. I sprained my ankle, like literally just walking on the sidewalk one time when I was doing the Scottish play. I mean, I was able to still perform, but I was still out for like a week, not being able to stand up because I sprained my ankle so bad. And literally, I was just walking on a flat sidewalk. I've also heard of other really crazy things happening. Now, luckily, while I wasn't in the theater, but like stage lights falling down randomly, props, hurting somebody, or even set pieces falling over onto an actor. I put my thoughts about the Scottish play and Chris Rock and Will Smith on Twitter, and I actually got some really interesting stories back, like tornadoes coming through the theater, or hurricanes, massive power outages, a car accident taking out a generator and causing a mass blackout during a show. There was also the Astor Palace riot in 1849. So the Astor Palace riot was a hot mess. It was caused by a rivalry between American actor Edwin Forrest and English actor William Charles Macready. And at least 20 people lost their lives, and there were over 100 injuries. And both Forrest and Macready were playing the title role in the Scottish play at around the same time. In the 1937 performance of the Scottish play at the Old Vic, which starred Laurence Olivier, has also had a numerous amount of actors that got injured. When Charlton Heston did the play in 1954, he suffered with accidental falls and burns. In 1964, a theater in Portugal burned down while they were doing the Scottish play. In 1988, there was an opera singer who took his own life while he was performing in the opera version of the Scottish play. And actually, this also affected the 2018 movie Hereditary. One of the writers, Ari Aster, told this story where Alex Wolff told him not to say the name of the Scottish play, and then Astor smugly said the name. He announced the name of the Scottish play on the set, and then after he said that, I think it was right after he said it, one of the lights burst. Yeah, okay. So this whole thing is crazy, right? If you talk to almost any actor, they will have a story that is connected to the Scottish play curse. So let's talk about, where did the curse of the Scottish play come from? There are numerous legends connected to the origin of the curse of the Scottish play. The Royal Shakespeare Company even has a story about the Scottish play. Funny story before I dive into this, when I was studying abroad in England, I actually was taking a bus to Stratford-upon-Avon to see the RSC's production of the Scottish play. And, we were with a driver who knew the area, who had traveled from Oxford to Stratford numerous times, knew the route. On our way to go to Stratford-upon-Avon to see the Scottish play, the bus driver got lost, and then we got stuck in the most intense traffic. We almost missed the show. What are the odds of that happening? And studying abroad in England, studying theater, you really get a chance to dive in head first into the whole theater superstition of the Scottish play. All right, let's talk about, where did the Scottish play come from? Now, according to legend, the Scottish play has been cursed since the very beginning. Apparently, there was a coven of witches who were not appreciative that Shakespeare used actual incantations and spells, and so they put a curse on the play. That's one of the legends. Another reason for the Scottish play being cursed is that, going back to the first legend, is that Shakespeare used actual spells and incantations and actual witchery for the witches' lines, and that ended up cursing the play. And what I really love about this legend too is that this goes back to the very, very first performance of the Scottish play. Apparently, the actor that played Lady Macbeth, that's what I'm calling her, Lady Macbeth, apparently he had died very suddenly, and so Shakespeare actually had to step into the role himself. Now, if you're wondering why I said he when playing the role of Lady Macbeth back in Elizabethan England during Shakespeare's time, women were not allowed to be on stage. Men portrayed women. That's a whole other conversation for another time. Another rumored legend of some things going wrong with the early days of the Scottish play curse was that real daggers replaced the prop daggers, and the actor that played Duncan had become mortally wounded. So the big question is now, did Chris Rock invoke the curse of the Scottish play when he said the name of it on stage? I don't know. I do know that there's a lot of backstory to the Will Smith and Chris Rock situation, or Will Smith, Chris Rock, and Jada Pinkett Smith. There's a lot of history back there. There was a lot more going on than what y'all saw on stage. I don't know. I mean, how many times does somebody get slapped on stage at the Oscars? I mean, and it was less than a minute. After he said it, about 53 seconds later, that was when Will Smith got up on the stage and slapped Chris Rock. Now, is the Scottish play curse real by any chance? You know? Okay, so I don't know if the actual play itself is cursed. Now, there are lines in the Scottish play, including like Eye of Newt and, that sort of thing. But if anyone is familiar with, witchcraft and spell work, those were basically code names for like mustard seed and very normal, natural ingredients. Witches back then were not actually, dismantling and disassembling animals back then. There's a whole thing about this. Now, this is what I believe. I believe that the Scottish play curse is an egregore of its own. An egregore kind of being like a thought form. I've covered the Philip experiment a few times, or I've talked about the Philip experiment a few times, where if enough people put thought and intention into something, then it may manifest something. When it comes to the Scottish play curse, with millions of actors doing this play and having something go wrong almost every time, there is something to be said there. However, there's also that thing where, anytime that I've done a show, one thing or two has gone wrong. And if I wasn't doing the Scottish play when those things went wrong, I thought nothing else of it. But if something went wrong while I was doing the Scottish play, then immediately I was like, oh, it's the curse. So I think maybe, we are trying to find explanations for anything, for everything and anything. But there's also something to be said that maybe if enough people have put intention into the Scottish play curse, then maybe we have manifested something ourselves. And the legends from the first production of the Scottish play, maybe those were made up and we've kind of created something now that we can't control. What do you think? Do you think the Scottish play curse is real? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to share this video with your friends and family who also enjoyed the spooky stuff, or theater and Shakespeare and the curse of the Scottish play. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next round.